What's happening, everybody? Today on the Dane Carter Show, we have a special guest in the house, a friend of mine, a fellow real estate agent, real estate professional, investor, my homie David Goodwin.
What's up, everybody? I'm super excited to be on this show and talk real estate and investments with a gentleman who's brought a great deal of value to me personally and my family. He's been a mentor of mine and someone that I've learned a great deal from, so I'm excited to get started.
Super pumped to have him. So we've been working on this podcast to have him here for a long time. He's got a very successful real estate brand, and he's now going all in on his brand and his marketing. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you might see his guy off the frame, but he's being followed around today, and he's videoing content. He's putting out his message to the market to do the things that we've been talking about for just over a year. And it's not just for business. A big part of it is the legacy play, where God forbid if he gets hit by a car when he leaves here, his kids will have tons of content to know exactly who their dad was. So that's a big reason why I put out content every day, for that exact reason.
That was something I learned early on from you, and I never forgot it. It was that you were saying your kids, and I used it in a recent post, and it really reminded me of that's why I'm doing this. I don't know much about my grandpa. I don't know much about my ancestry, and I don't really know anything. So that my kids and these generations can go back and see who I was, how I showed up, what I did. That's the generational impact that we have the privilege of the opportunity to showcase that other people really just didn't.
I know, and it's a responsibility. I feel an overwhelming responsibility to be documenting this stuff because it's so easy. And either you're not going to do it because you're afraid, or you're not going to do it because you're lazy. Both of those things you can fix.
So how did you overcome that? Because that's there was a big part of me not wanting to share a story or not filming because I felt that it didn't come off perfect, and so I would just delete it, it was just, that part was hard because I was, so concerned about what is this image that I'm projecting and how is it going to be perceived, and then I just, through hanging out with you and seeing how you were doing it, just said, let's just let it rip and go for it, and the response I've gotten back from people was, this is cool, keep doing more.
I know, and you're doing it consistently now, so you're going to get more and more data from other people to know what direction to go. That has been my whole journey. There was stuff I thought was going to be awesome, and everybody was going to love it, and this is great, and I'm so smart, and no one gave a shit. So I just listened to the feedback that I got from the market and my friends and my peers, especially in the beginning. But I used the fear that I had as fuel. So I was afraid I was going to be left behind. Right. So that fear for me was stronger than the fear of fucking up.
Yeah.
And then I also realized, what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Oh darn, my friends are going to bag on me. My family's going to think I'm insane. So what? Yeah. I don't want to be 90 years old and say what would have happened if? How would my life look different if? My life in 2 years is unrecognizable to what it was before. And it's all documented now.
Right.
So it's not something that I've thought about doing. You can see it. You see it every single day. I've gone all in with my life.
Yeah.
And I'm documenting it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the suck, the wins, the losses, you guys are going to see it. Because it's what's really important to me. So before we dive too far into that, because that's where we're going to go, let the listeners kind of know who you are as a person, who you are as a man, who you are as a husband. But before we even hit that, who were you as the boy? Who were you as young David Goodwin?
So I grew up as a hockey player and playing sports, everything outdoors. So my childhood was very lucky to grow up in Belmont Shore and just be at the beach and just really enjoying that amazing lifestyle. And had some, my father wasn't really around, so early on I grew up with a single mom, and in that area most of those families had two parents in the household. So we weren't able to afford a lot of the things that other kids could, but my mom always said, treat people with respect and always show up in a big way and just do the right thing and surround yourself with great people, and that's what you'll become. And that always stuck with me. So my friends, I made sure that they were the best they could. Of course, we get in trouble when you're little kids and doing knucklehead stuff, but
Still get in trouble.
yeah. And just seeing those families and then use their parents and mostly those dads as role models to see what they were doing in business, and then stayed continuing playing hockey and some football, and then eventually had lots of different jobs going through that path of, you know, from selling real estate to working at a lumber yard to selling door-to-door AT&T phone service to insurance sales. And it was just a major journey that I learned a lot about myself, especially in those early years where I was door knocking. That's really where I got really good at talking to people, and then later on the skills of actually not making it about myself, because early on it was all about me, and then learning how, like, when I talk to people, it's really to hear their story and understand where they come from, and then I can better help them. And that was a very, like, a fundamental shift in me as a person, is finding a way to really pry out of people their story, where they're at, what they're doing, why they're doing it, where they're going, and then see, like you, how my network could potentially help empower them. And then it wasn't really asking for business, it was them bringing me business.
And it's such a big piece so many people miss in sales.
Yeah.
They're not listening for how they can solve their problem. They're waiting for their chance to talk to sell you something.
Yep.
Most people don't want to be sold. Like, they want you to fix a problem, which you've gotten really good at, and you've honed this skill over years of selling stuff, either straight to them at a store or door to door to door for a service. So you've been in sales for a long time, and you got really comfortable having somebody slam a door in your face.
Yeah, I had a great trainer. I was going head to head with her at AT&T. There's 3,000 reps. I was usually within the top 10. This week I ended up being within the top 5. Had the number 1 spot. I'm thinking I'm gonna get it. This week I got this, and I called my manager, seeing where I was. He's like, "You're ahead right now." He goes, "Keep on it." So I went out, and then she ended up getting like 67 sales that week, and I had like 55. And I had a chance to talk to her, and I was like, "How do you do it? What do you do? What's your secret sauce?" And she goes, "Well, I love it when they say no." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, because once I get the no's out of the way, then I'm that much closer to a yes."
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I really the whole
mindset,
numbers game, mindset, it all started clicking at that point in time. And then I just started not taking those no's as personal rejection, like I'm a bad person and I'm not good at this. As it's just like, some people just aren't ready, and there's no knock on me, it's nothing on them, it's just
don't
not
take
the
it
right
personal.
time. Don't take it personal, man. Just enjoy the experience of meeting new people. That's why door to door is so amazing, because you get face to face. Actually, people are more likely. That's also why we door knock in groups, because if it's just you at the door and no one's around, someone might be a total asshole to you because no one's looking.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a couple people, that's why door knocking in groups is great. They're going to look around and go, maybe I'm not going to, be too crazy with this person. And in person, they're also going to open up. And when I door knock, I just look around and see, like, when I'm walking up, is there newspapers piled up? What kind of cars in the driveway? How does the house look? When they open the door, what type of stuff? Is there artwork on the wall? Do they have pets? All that stuff, it allows me to kind of move that conversation in a way that I can create that common thread. And once you have a commonality with somebody, it's easy to chop it up with them, because
there's a connection.
If you don't find that connection, you're dust.
And so many people are petrified of going door to door doing anything. So you were able to, master that.
Yeah.
And he made it sound really easy just now. He's like, okay, so I'm going to roll up to the house, I'm going to look what kind of car it is. As soon as you open the door, I'm going to be nice and, polite and kind. I'm also looking past them at stuff I can use to help, because you're trying to help them. Sometimes they don't know it yet, but you're actually there to help.
I'm there to help.
You're there to help. And this is why Dave teaches these incredible door knocking boot camps, because it's a learned skill. Like, there's so many people that'll go, especially in the space of real estate, and I mentor a lot of them. Like, oh, I went out and knocked 20 doors. Did you? Did you really? Or did you kind of walk through a neighborhood past 20 houses?
Yeah.
It's very different when you line up a definitive intention.
Yeah.
he's very intentional about his door knocking. He brings people for a reason to basically soften the blow of the who is this fucking guy at my door? What's he trying to sell me? Well, his service is actually going to help you a great deal, save you money and make you money. You just don't know it yet. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
So these skills that you've learned, sales, you then just focused it on selling bigger stuff that costs more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It just, a lot of people knock on doors and talk to people about, hey, do you want to sell your house? I'm genuinely interested on, like, how did you land in a $5 million home?
I get it.
$2 million, whatever. How did you get to this point? And that's the story that I want to know, because that leads into them owning, a business. Do they own the building that they run their business out of? Are they diversified and have other investments, apartment buildings, strip malls? And a lot of residential guys are so one-dimensional, they just fail to ask that question, just leave money on the table for guys like us that come in and ask those questions. Yep.
And this is the part where so many people tell you, especially in the space of real estate, and this is kind of specific for certain people, but I think it can be learned and trained. They literally teach you to be hyper-focused on one space of real estate. And I've always had a problem with this since I got started in real estate.
Me too.
They're like, you're going to sell homes, or you're going to be a listing specialist, or you're going to work with first-time home buyers, or you're going to do both. Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, congratulations, you sell condos, townhouses, and houses. You can build a gigantic career just doing that. That's great.
Yep.
For me, I'm always like, well, what's that? Like, what's over there? What's probate? What's commercial? What's industrial? What's land? And we're talking about a deal yesterday. That's a huge piece of land that you have under contract.
Yeah.
And it's zoned ag, and we're trying to figure out how to squeeze it, right?
Right.
You only get good at that kind of stuff by trying different things. So I've always had a problem with, why should I only do residential? I like commercial. Commercial has a lot of money in it. A lot of people that own a $5 million house probably own a strip mall.
Yeah.
Or they own some multifamily real estate. Are they going to let the property manager list it? Or am I with my team?
Leaving people they just fail to ask.
The opportunities are everywhere.
You're already in front of them.
And Dave is really, really, really good at disarming people because he's a nice guy and he's kind, and you can tell.
Yeah.
He's not that hey, he's not that guy. And that is a skill, again, that you have to learn. Maybe give them some examples of why it's important for you to have 1 foot in residential and then 1 foot in commercial.
I don't want to be one-dimensional. A lot of brokers that I worked with in the past, they were just focus on this, and if it's commercial, refer it to someone that's going to specialize, that just does that. And I said, well, why would I not learn that skill? Why would I? I'm an investor. I want to invest, and so the only way to learn it is by finding those deals and pitching them, and just be resourceful enough to ask questions to people that have already done it. I didn't have 200 apartment buildings under my belt, but my first deal was an apartment building, and I got it off a for rent sign. Most people don't even think of calling for rent signs, but I called for rent signs and got this lady who was in a situation that did need to sell. Now, boom, there's my first deal. So that's where I really got the bug to sell real estate, because I was working selling phone service or insurance, and then I got this check, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I could work a whole year and not make that kind of money. And that's where it was, I saw these doors open up and all these things that I imagined and wanted in my life. I felt like real estate was that vehicle that could get me there.
I felt the exact same way. I was like, wait a minute. This math makes sense to me. There's no ceiling. I could make $6 million a day, or I could make $6 million in a 30-year career. Yeah. It was up to me.
Right.
And everything in between. I liked the way that felt, especially because I was raised very similar to you. I didn't have much. We really struggled. And so those small little wins, they gave me confidence to do more. Mm-hmm. But I was always willing to learn. I always wanted to be around people that knew more than me. I still do. All my mentors are light years ahead of me.
That's why I changed offices. That's why I went out and started, my own brand is similar to you. I worked with other brokers, and I saw that, and then this is no knock on the other, there's a lot of great brokerages out there, and it worked out for the time being. I just noticed I was spending a lot of money in split money that went to the brokerage, and it helped them grow that brand for them. And what I realized that wasn't really doing anything for me. So I did something crazy after talking with you about a year ago, and I said, you know what, I'm going to make this switch, and I'm going to take that money that I'm giving, say, $50,000-$60,000 of split money, and I'm going to move that money and infuse it directly into marketing and branding and
Your brand.
And the difference has been lights out, man. It's been crazy good. I've been able to do things that I've always wanted to do, things that people told me couldn't be done. You can't be a hybrid agent. You can't do commercial and residential. And here I am, got a $4 million listing in Naples. We got a $10 million land deal. I just closed on a $2.5 million triple net Jack in the Box. Closed on a 14-unit apartment building. Those are all so many different spaces that...
And this is why Dave and I get along. Because I've been doing that since I started in real estate. Like, I wanted to do all different things, and it worked.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to find out I suck at selling land? Cool, then I'll stop. But at some point in my career, somebody might need some help from me, and they might want to sell land.
Yep.
So now I have that tool in my tool belt.
And like a specialist is so, actually, it's so affordable to pay a specialist. So on some of these deals where I was, where do I find that valuation on an apartment building? I knew those, most of the apartment. With land, it was a whole nother animal. So I got with a land appraiser and paid a specialist who could underwrite that and give me that information back. I paid for it. And then all of a sudden I had that expert kind of witness, if you will, that gave me everything I needed, all the ammunition. And then when I went to my meeting, I killed it. And it was because I was willing to take that step and admit what I didn't know, but not be like, I'm stuck, I can't do this deal, go find someone else.
You call the expert.
Call the expert. Bring in the experts, and then they gave me the facts. Then I put those, repackaged that material, brought it in, closed it.
And that's literally what Dave does. He has a laundry list of experts. And so do I. Like, they're in my pocket in my phone.
Yep.
And that's a perfect segue for maybe how you got this listing in Naples, which is one of like the most highly desirable places here in Long Beach. He went in there and crushed and explained to them how exactly you did that.
That one was a really fun one. So Joseph James, good friend of mine, he's an appraiser. He's been doing real estate as well. He brought this deal to me and he said, hey, I got this client and I think they want to sell. The trust is taking it over. I said, let's get in front of them right away. Give me the address. Pulled all the comps, put together a great presentation, got in front of them, and I'm thinking, before I go in, I always assess, like, who's the person I'm meeting with, so that I'm not, overdressed or not underdressed. So I went in casual because they're cleaning out a house right now. So I walked in like more like them as opposed to some authority figure that's going to come in and crush them and take this listing. I just thought that was BS. So I walked in, got personal with them, got to understand what they were trying to accomplish, and then I see all these moving things going on. They've got boxes everywhere, all this stuff, and the lady's stressed out. And this was this shift and I jumped it. She was on the phone with a moving company, and then they were trying to get a dumpster bin dropped off, and she couldn't get it dumped until like Tuesday or Wednesday. I said, you know what? I've got one over at 303 Covina. Let me call my guy right now, Gary. I'll get you one right away. So I landed a dumpster bin within like 8 hours. It was there like the next morning. And she goes, oh my gosh. And then I go, what else do you need? She goes, I need people to move it in there. So I called John and a few other guys. I had like bodies over there right away. They're starting moving stuff out. And then she goes, well, who's going to take care of it? I got it. What else? I need a cleaning company. Boom. Called Ms. Juana. Done. What else? And she goes, you're hired. Mm-hmm. And man, it was what we talk about all the time. It's adding value first. Mm-hmm. And you say it all the time, and it just resonated with me, and it's just stuck. And then worry about your effing paycheck later.
So true. Like, I tell everybody the same thing. I'm like, dude, when you try to step into your client's shoes, and it's built my entire career, I always took care of my investors first.
Yeah.
No matter what. Even if the deal was a little tight, I would rather take it on the chin and make sure they were whole. And it's worked. You provide value over and over and over again, it's going to work.
Yeah.
And especially, it shines a light on your character too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there that we know that they're just takers. A lot of agents, especially at a certain tier in their ego and their career, they think it's just owed to them. They think that they should just get it because who they are, who their name is, who their team is, how many closed sales they have. That's the beauty of real estate. That's never going to be the case. At any given time, somebody could come up and knock you off.
Yep. If you don't work hard. And the entitlement issue that you brought up, a lot of agents, they send out all these flyers like, oh, all these closed deals, and I don't know how much that really means to someone in that neighborhood. Like, it says that for sure you're closing deals, which is great, but unless you go, I would rather see you show up in person and say, yeah, I've closed some deals, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is I'd like to know how I can get to know you better, and I don't care about doing a deal for you right now. I'd love to see how I can put my network to work for you and help you with anything that you got going on in your life. And then let them talk about their problems and issues and challenges that they're facing, and see if you could do something for them. Maybe it's not even real estate related, and then all of a sudden the doors open up because you're helping them.
And that's like your clients for life.
Yeah.
Like, I literally want to help families, not just the people at the top that are making the moves, but when your 22-year-old son or daughter start to buy real estate, I want you to call us.
Yeah.
And then when they want to start buying investment properties, I want you to call us, because you wouldn't think about going anywhere else.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to be patient, to be humble, to over-deliver value all along the way. And everybody gets so hungry for those commissions.
It doesn't. Making money is a residual effect of us doing our job. And for me, success is working with one of my clients' kids at some point in time when they're ready to go. And that is because, like you said, doing the job, adding value, and then because of that, they go, hey, I got a guy that's going to look out for you. Not a guy that's just trying to make a commission and close a deal, put a sign up and get your house sold. That's anybody can do that, man.
Right.
What are you going to do beyond that makes you different from anybody that they've ever met in their life? And I don't know if, personally, a lot of people don't look at that as this huge opportunity to show up in a bigger way than they ever imagined. And then the endorphins and all the energy that comes from seeing somebody else win on a big level and know that you played a part in that because you cared enough to ask further questions, dig into how you can help them, and then watch it go.
It feels so good. And then guess what they do? They tell their friends.
Yeah.
And then they tell their friends. And then they tell all their business partners. If you just do the right thing over and over and over again, as you've done to build your career, your referrals will come. So let's get really strategic. We have a lot of real estate professionals that listen to the show,
right,
and a lot of investors. How, without giving away like the secret sauce, how do you like to run your week? How do you like to kind of manage your deal flow? How do you go get business? Because we already know you're a good guy. We already know you over-deliver value to your clients. But how do you go and get in the living room?
It's a great question. So the best way I could say that is I rate the people that I have in my system that are potential clients as like A1s, A2s, A3s. A1s, if I don't get back to these people with answers right away, they're going to work with someone else.
Correct.
So those are red hot. They have to get contacted. I need to bring them value instantly.
Okay, how do they get into your system? Let's go like freezing cold, they might know you,
right,
to they actually get put into your system.
So door knocking is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We use a platform called Sync, Commissions Inc., and that's a lead gen CRM that we do Google and Facebook and Instagram ads, and then those leads come in, they're wired in on a phone call, and then we have some data on them, so it's literally just see if you can close them and book an appointment. And then some referral, sphere of influence, and that's just contacting past clients, and then doing it in a way where, like, in the morning, wake up, get kids off to school, start 8:30, and then from 8:30 to 9:30 it's getting on the phones, calling everybody back, and then some follow-up calls going into like 10:30 where I'm circling back on deals that I already have going. But the second you get a lead, this is where I failed miserably, honestly, Andy. I wish I would have known this. I wish someone would have just told me how important that CRM is because I have so many leads that were just put on like pieces of paper. They never got put into any kind of formal system. I had a massive loss recently, like a $7 million sale. I was in touch with the guy, and I even showed him the house next door, and I was clicking on parcels, man, and I saw his name. My fucking heart just dropped. I'm like, no way he bought that house.
This happens to all of us. So if this is you,
it was just,
you can learn from our pain and our losses. You listen. It's cool to have a book. I have a book. It goes with me everywhere. I have a book in my car. I have a book at my house. I have notepads because I'm old school, 42. I like to take notes. That's awesome for me. I also have a team put everything in a computer.
Yeah, you have to put that stuff in. I called him, he said, hey, and even just having a simple drip system, he goes, I couldn't find your phone number. I have all these Davids. I'm like, there's only one.
Now you want to kill yourself.
There's only one David, bro. What are you talking about? He goes, I couldn't, you know. And it was just, it sucked, but it was like, it was the worst but best learning experience.
Now it's never going to happen again.
You meet them, they've got to go in the CRM. When you call them, you update the notes. When you pick up the phone next time and talk to them, you have notes on the last conversation that you had with them, so you know where to pick up. It just you're more familiar and better off, and the reminders to call and when to call. Yeah, anyone that's building a business and wanting to grow and scale it, you have to have a system, a CRM. I don't care what you use, but you have to have something. You got to have something to put it in.
And I'm so glad you said that last part. If you're a person building a business, this is for you.
Yeah.
If you're farting around with real estate and you're doing 3 to 5 deals a year and this is not really your full-time thing, you don't really want to build a business, maybe you don't. Maybe just join a team and this is kind of fun for you. You are your entire source of income. This is a business, and if you don't look at it as such, it'll crush you, and you'll piss money away.
And it's, even if you're doing, like you said, part-time 3 or 5 deals a year, those 3 or 5 deals, if you do them correctly, and you ask for referrals after, and you put them in your system, and you stay in touch with them, and you send some emails following up with them, you can't just like forget about somebody for a year or 2 and call them back. Or when you get a new license, I love this. They get a new license and they want to call everybody that they know and tell them that they're in real estate, and they haven't cared about them for 5 years, but now they want to tell them and make them do deals with them. I had a guy who called me. He's like, I just got a license. I'm going to call everybody I know, tell them I'm in real estate. And I said, don't do that, man.
Give them value.
Call those people, say hello with them, see if you can get in front of them, have a cup of coffee, talk with them about what they're doing in their life, see if you can add value for them. Then, if they're polite and they respect you, they'll most likely ask you what you're doing. If they don't, then they don't, and then don't bring it up.
Well, yeah, and there's
we'll bring it up, but
yeah, but there's like, and I always forget what the math is. It's something for every one deal you close, that person should spit you off 3 to 5 referrals in the life of the relationship. So for every deal that you close, if you do what Dave's saying, if you're constantly touching them, if you're constantly providing value, you're constantly on emails, you're constantly trying to follow up with them, at some point you're going to get referred business. And statistically speaking, I believe it's either 3 or 5. So if you're doing 10 deals a year, you potentially have a lot of business coming.
Yeah. If you
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 pieces of business. And if you do business in Southern California, where your average commission is 10 grand, it's good money.
If you care, I mean, it just shows like whether if it's easy to say, hey, I care about you, or hey, I love you, and hey, I'm going to be here for you. But a lot of people just don't show it. They don't show up for these people, and they only show up when they need a paycheck. And that's I think why real estate agents get a bad rap. You know, they're only in for the paycheck. Well, because most people show up in that way, and it's true.
That's because that's how they show up in their life.
Yeah, but it makes it easier for guys like us.
That's right. And especially because like there's going to be a shakeup with the market. It's coming. And I think a lot of the people that have been in real estate for 5 or 6 years that have no idea what happened in 2007, 8, and 9 are going to get a rude awakening.
I've read an article about this inverse yield curve. We're in the potentially in year 2, going into the 3rd year. It's kind of what will happen in the market when we had our recession. So I think it's definitely something we got to really keep a close eye on. It's also, you know, why we have to be careful on how we advise our clients and making sure that if it's for sure right, and if it's an investment, making sure that you're buying right. You know, because as you know, when you're doing a flip or an investment, you don't make money when you buy, you make money when you buy, not when you sell.
That's right.
So Just paying close attention. Single family, a lot of people, because of all these flip shows and investment stuff, they are viewing real estate as a short-term investment. It's always been designed as a long-term investment.
Mm-hmm.
So buying something that you can afford, putting money down. If the market turns, maybe it's 15-20%. If your money's in the stock market, you could see half your loss, half of your gains go away.
Mm-hmm.
So diversifying, and getting in real estate. So we call a lot of people that have money in the market and tech stocks, and then see if they'd like to diversify and put their money in real estate. So I think that's a great way for investors to, if something does change, which sounds like it is coming, to have their money in other platforms or other investments.
Protected.
Yeah.
Like, I love the fact that this particular asset, we'll call it like a 12-unit building in Long Beach, right?
Yeah.
And I lose $600,000 just on paper. But my asset is being protected by the tenants covering the mortgage every month through rent.
Yeah.
Same scenario in the stock market.
You got nothing, man.
Nothing.
It's all
You're
gone.
sitting there grabbing your ankles.
You're wiped out.
I don't understand why you would not do this part. Like, the real estate portion of it is such a long wealth play.
Yeah.
Like, landlord, and you guys have heard me say this a million times, landlord comes from the term lord of the land. Like, this is medieval. This is old.
Right.
The wealthy own the dirt. The wealthy own the buildings. And repeat.
Yeah.
For thousands of years.
So why do
So
people
now
resist
the
this so much?
stock market that's been around for a couple hundred, not even, like, you're putting all of, yes, I know you can make money. Yes, that's great. Yes, you don't want to educate yourself on how to invest correctly, so you give your money to somebody else. That's for you, fine. I'm just telling you what's worked for me and my family, and what's worked for a lot of other people. And if you start doing research on the wealthiest people on the planet, they have a gigantic foothold in real estate.
Yeah, because it's what insulates their wealth long term.
It's their piggy bank.
Yeah.
Like, if they want to go and invest $6 million into a company because they got some great idea with some buddies and they're going to partner, they don't need to go to the bank. They can, or they can go to their asset and go pull that money out and invest. And then there's literally endless options. The tax benefits that I could do a whole show on, and there's so much to it. So that's some of the stuff that Dave brings to the table. Is he's worked with those kind of people, and he understands the value, and he's going to shoot you straight. It's like, here's what I would do, and I do this with my whole family. Like, if it was me and my money for my family, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to me. I'm just telling you what I would do.
That's why we see a lot of families that are moving their money. They're selling their apartment buildings in California and they're moving out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, building to land value, you can't depreciate land. You can depreciate the building, and they go out of state because the land cost is actually a lot lower. So then they have a better depreciation schedule. So it's actually, they have more sheltered income. So that's why we're seeing a lot of people go from California out of state. You can get better cash flow. The only thing is the appreciation aspect that a lot of California investors have really enjoyed is there's California appreciation. You can't match that anywhere else.
It's ridiculous. That's why it's important to diversify.
Yeah.
Like, there's plays that we have that don't cash flow that much. The cap rates are not all that great. I just know they're going to be cows, and they are.
Yep.
And then I have other ones. They're probably going to go up $100,000 in 20 years. But they don't care. It's income.
Yeah, great cash flow at the gate.
Right. And it was a great point that you made. And I have a better depreciation schedule on a much, much smaller asset.
The challenge I've seen on the out of state is if you're going out of state and I personally, because I'm investing in Reno, I think that's a great market to go into, and it's because we have family out there, so we can manage those buildings.
Mm-hmm.
But making sure that before you buy out of state, is who's going to help oversee that management. Management fees I've seen 10%,
15.
Yeah, so if they're getting me people, great tenants, and they're then awesome.
Then it's worth it. But you have to vet, and it's so important because the most important thing is the acquisition.
Yeah.
The second most, and pretty darn close, is who's going to manage it.
Mm-hmm.
And who are they? What are their intentions? What are their morals? Vet them just as much as you would vet the deal.
Otherwise, you're going to get bogus bills left and right. Hey, the water heater went out. Did it? The air conditioning is not working. Is it?
Is their brother-in-law
Yeah.
a plumber and they just
Yeah.
had some invoice created?
So how do you know if you're
I can
not there?
horror story you guys into never wanting to invest in real estate, trust me. But the upside is ridiculous. And we like to build our own teams.
Yeah.
So, and it's a hack I talk about on this show constantly, is you can go into a city where you don't know anybody. You can find some new real estate agents that aren't doing that many deals that might want to manage a building or two for even $300-400 a month.
Yeah.
Because their rent is $800 a month. So if they can manage 2 of my buildings and I'm going to cover their biggest bill, now I got boots on the ground, I got a new hungry agent, I have somebody who I can train up to now do deals, so when we do want to buy buildings there, they can represent us as the buyer.
Right.
So now I'm making them money and I have a loyal person now.
Yeah. It's good.
Because I've changed their life. And now we have a little team of 3 or 4 or 10 that property manage, they bird dog, they find us deals. When, you know, like Aunt Susie passes away, they bring that deal to me.
And that's because the value you're bringing them value, so it comes back to you, and then those relationships, starting them off, and you know when they're people remember when they didn't maybe have as much, and someone was willing to take maybe a risk on them and show them the business and teach them the tricks and the hacks and the stuff that can help them provide for their family. There's so much that's just so powerful.
It's important. And we went on a crazy tangent. So, and that's what we do on the show. So you're welcome. Let's go back to the CRM.
Yep.
How they go in.
Okay.
And then what? So you have I think you said it's A1 and then down?
Yeah, so they get rated. So we need to know who's ready to go now and which ones they might be 3-6 months out. So those people, you can't forget about them either, because if you call them in 6 months, something changed. So I'd say almost you have to talk to people once a month. Yes. It could be, and though I hate when people do, hey, I'm just calling to check in. Hey, I'm just circling back.
Change those words.
Yeah, like, you're not their parents, man. Like, seriously, what are you checking in on? You checking in on them, making sure that they're still there?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No,
I'm not checking in on me.
Bring them value. Call and say, hey, I know you're looking in Belmont Shore. This one just came up, or hey, this one just went pending. Or just give them some information that's valuable for them, so that they go, oh, that's cool. It's helpful information I didn't know. The checking in to see how you're doing stuff is just a joke, and that's how you get people just as.
And they can smell it.
Yeah,
and they can smell like all this. You know, they don't really care about me. They want to find out when they can sell me.
How close are they to making the decision? And that's just not the way you do things. And then, of course, the personal and professional touch. So when you talk to people, you need to first, on a personal level, figure out how you can add value for them, and then the professional stuff will come in later on you doing business with them. But if you can't show value for them on a personal level, it's really hard to break through, especially with people that you don't know, like cold call. I mean, they already know why you're calling. So, like, I have a lady that I just called yesterday on Sync, and she's in Huntington Beach. She's going to buy around 750, 800, 900,000. And I just dove into who she is, what she's doing, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, what's going on in your life?" She goes, "Oh, I got these dentures, going on, and I'm going to sue this doctor." She's just going on a rampage. I said, well, are you, or do you have a lawyer? She goes, well, I can't find one. Gave her an attorney. She goes, I need someone to talk about this on the press and media and blast this guy. I said, why don't you look at, there's these
Long Beach
websites. Yeah, gave her a contact. And then after I did all that, she was like, well, what were you calling about in the first place? I was like, I'm calling, you're using our platform to look at properties, and I've got a property I wanted to look at, but I wanted to help you first. It sounded like there were some more pressing issues. And she goes, yeah, that was cool. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, we are looking, and we've been looking for about a year now. Gosh, that's a long time to be looking. What's been the hang up? Oh, I can't find this, I can't find that. She won't, basically, long story short, she's looking for a house that doesn't exist. She is not going to live in Huntington at that price. So I showed her a few different areas where she could get that house that she wanted at the price that she could afford, and I booked her for an appointment today at 5 o'clock. So I'll go show her house, 775, 2,500 square foot home. It's close to the freeway, and it's just...
And repeat.
And repeat. Go to the next call. Go to the next call.
If you're a good person, this works.
Yeah.
If you're a scumbag, this will expose you.
Yeah, because it's not authentic. Like, I truly want to help each person that I get a chance to. I look at it as a personal challenge. Like, am I truly that resourceful person? There's this mass network that I have. Am I really that guy? And can I really pull this off? And I look at it as a personal challenge to go out there and find them those people. And and you can't just Google and just throw them randos, because if that person doesn't do the job, it's on your for sending them a bad lead or a bad person. So
you don't want to ever refer anybody you haven't vetted yourself.
yeah, you got to vet these people. So the contractors I refer, the attorneys that I send them to, these are people that I've done business with, that I know personally, that, and if I don't know, I'm not going to speak to it. Hey, I can't help you on that. I really don't know anybody for that. And I'll try to find another area in their life that I can add value with her. Maybe I couldn't help on the attorney side, or plugging her in with someone that she can, file a report with. But maybe there's some other aspects of it, and it ended up being the real estate stuff, plus giving her some connections to talk to.
I love it. Yeah. So let's talk to the 1 year agent to like 3 years, and they're in that place where like they might want to not do real estate anymore, and they're doing just good enough where like they can feel it's right around the corner. What would you give some advice to them on how to make that shift? And we talked about the CRM, which is super important.
Yeah. We'll get more to that because I need to speak more to the system.
Go ahead.
So the CRM that we use is HubSpot. We still have Sync, which is a CRM/lead gen, but we have deals. We put the actual deal in there, and then we assign tasks. So in a deal, I can't do every single aspect of it, so I'll assign tasks to my team members, which could be pulling comps or setting them up in Sync so that they can get automatic leads sent to them, getting that buyer or seller to download our app. There's all these tasks that go on into it, and then setting a timeline and where they're at in the deal stage. So they might just be fresh, just met them. The next stage is book an appointment. So knowing, I try to visualize where I'm at with each person and what the next step is. So when I do call them, I'm not just checking in. I'm actually calling with real purpose. Last time we talked about you getting that house. Did you get set up with that lender yet to get pre-approved? That's the talk that I'm going to keep having with them until they do that part. Most buyers buy backwards, as you know. They walk into an open house, they find that perfect home, and
then they call their lender.
And then they call their lender, and then by then, if the property's priced right, and then it's sold and it's done, and someone they get their heart broken. So
and it's a great tool for them to learn.
Yeah, and if you want to learn the hard way, just keep walking into open houses not pre-approved, and then you'll get your ass handed to you.
That's right.
So CRM, that part's really important. So station to station, moving, having that to be able to visualize where that person's at, where they're going to be going, so that you call with purpose, so that you can walk them down that path of home ownership or investing, and then having in that system, it has different tasks and people that I can appoint, and I can set up drip systems so they get automatic information, and then tightening them down so that I know what they're actually looking for. And because a lot of people, they just want to live in this certain area, and then all of a sudden they buy in a completely different area, and sometimes they don't even use the agent they've been talking with because, you didn't show me that property. Well, you never told me you were looking. No, you never asked if I was looking at other areas. Mm-hmm. You never even showed me different areas.
That's right.
So just asking more questions and getting them to open up and just showing them different spots. If you're trying something for a year like this lady was, I'm sorry, it's just not working. You got to try something different. You can't do the same thing and expect it to be sold.
And that's why they call you.
Yes.
And then you're good to
and
go.
You.
Yeah, no, I stay very busy, but I love what I do. I love to help, and it's very apparent. You can see all through my Instagram and YouTube, I truly care about people to help. And it shows. It shows in my work, and it shows in, how I show up as a dad and how I show up as a husband, and it's important for me. Okay, so let's maybe close the show with some stuff that you're doing now, which you've already gone all in on your marketing and branding.
Yep.
Where do you see the GOODWIN network, and where do you see your team and your brand at in the next 24 months?
Oh, that's a great question. So, when I'm looking to the future, I see that there's the systems in place now. I have to refine them to the point where they automate. And a lot of the manual labor that's still happening pulls me away from my prospecting.
It's because it's clunky, right?
Yeah. So what we're working on right now is automating the system to where when a lead comes in, there's all these check downs and things that happen in order to move them from the next station to the next station, and then making sure that we demystify the real estate process so that people know what they're getting into and what to expect. A lot of people, when they buy real estate, they really don't know, and the agents a lot of times just push them through stuff, and then they get lost, and then sometimes you just lose them altogether because they just get scared. And so people, when they're scared, it's because they don't know. So I think the next level in the next 24 months is really laying out those steps that we can really educate the buyers and the sellers on the process, so that when they walk through, they know from this station to that station what to expect of us, laying out very clear expectations so they know what they can, all the way along the path of what's going to happen. I think that's the biggest thing that we're looking to accomplish in the next 24 months, is to actually look at real estate not as just from a transactional standpoint, but as an educator on how we can help these people really understand it.
Right. And so it's like an experience. Here's what you're going to experience with me and my team.
You nailed it. It's the experience. Right? We really want to focus on that experience and making that experience like no other, where they walk in, they're like, man, like that was an amazing experience, and these guys are the best. Because we know if you don't do it right, they're going to tell 100 people, and they're going to go on Yelp, and they're just going to tattoo you. But if you do it right, hopefully you get 1 or 2 people that they say some good things about you.
And it's just not that hard to do your job at 100%. There's this quote I love. I think it's from like Jerry Rice. Mm-hmm. He said something to the effect of, and I always mess this up, and I had the pleasure of meeting him on the field one day. Was, why wouldn't you give 100% when it's 100% your choice? Wow. I think that's so simple and so powerful. And I think Ben Newman, who was on the show and sitting right where you're at, he coaches like the top athletes in the world. Mm-hmm. He said that here, and I was like, I love that. That's awesome. And it's just true. Like if it's up to you whether you're going to give 2% or 100, and it's only up to you, it's 100% up to you. Why wouldn't you do it? You're just choosing to lose.
It's easy to look at what someone has and then think that they got it easy.
The comparison game will make you lose every time.
Yeah, my uncle would always say, and this stuck with me, he goes, do what I do, get what I get.
Mm-hmm.
And
do I say that a lot?
Man, is that so true though. Like if you want it, you got to go after it and get it. And if you want it, best thing to do is look at the people that are already doing it and ask them questions and see how they're doing it. That's what's been great about working with you, is like you're an open book, and you share, hey, these are the things that I'm working on. That's why I'm sitting in this chair, Andy, is because I see what you're doing, and I see how you're open and helping and giving, and these are all things that a lot of people try to charge people for. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, hey man, like here's how you do it. I mean, they still have to go do it. But hey, here's the roadmap, and here's the landmines along the way, so you can avoid them.
Yeah, and that's it's a huge part of the message. And thank you so much for saying that, because it is a big thing. I'll give you the blueprint. You still got to build the house, but I'll show you how to do it. And it's because, dude, I went through so many peaks and valleys. If I can help one person not have to go through that valley, then that makes me feel great. Like, I don't care if it's a client, I don't care if it's a friend, I don't care if it's someone who I'm mentoring. Like, I like to make sure you're going to get where you want to go as fast as possible with the least amount of bruises.
And it's from listening. It's like the reason why I have friends and clients that are a lot older than me. It's because these are like the old wise men around the campfire sharing the stories that I get to plug into my business. And that's why I do a lot, like right now we're doing a lot of talking, but when I'm around these people, I'm actually very quiet, and I'm just letting it all come in, and just, I want to know what, when, where, why, what were these defining moments in their life where they made these changes that, created this amount of success. And when you're door knocking, when you're talking to people, you get I got caught up in the initial stages of like throwing up on them with all this information, especially when I was a new agent, like, oh, I know this, I know all this stuff, and gosh, they don't really care.
Nope.
Like, why are they who they are, and what are they doing that's made them successful, and just get those little golden nuggets out of them. And then when you go and talk to them later, gosh, it's great, because people that are successful love to talk about their story.
That's why podcasting is so great.
So why are you not creating more opportunities for these customers that you want to get to share and talk about their story?
It's a way to get in front of somebody who might teach you a little thing that will change your business forever. And I've been around a lot of high-level people, and they all are kind of the same way. Like, they're like, go find somebody who's done it and ask them a ton of questions.
So why? I guess it's, I don't know why.
That's the first place you start.
Start there, and everything else just falls into place.
And then if you can work for them for free, work for them for free, and get as close to the sun as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Learn as much as you can, and then apply.
Yeah, put it to work, and you'd be surprised. Most people, there was at first it was for me was like, there was some intimidation about going up to people
Mm-hmm.
that had all this, and I'm like, why is this guy going to give me any time? I think it's because those people remember what it was like when they got started, and they were doing what I'm doing, and they're like, you know what? Let me give this guy a couple minutes and share a few stories. And that's their legacy too.
And that's exactly what I'm doing with the space of digital right now.
Yeah.
I did 3 podcasts yesterday from kids, like 16, 18, and 19 from all over the country. And that was just yesterday. And they hit me up and they asked me pretty much the same questions because they all had like the same questions because they're in the same age range and they're trying to figure it out. But I knew I could help them. And they asked, and then I said yes, which was hard for them to ask, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then we do a show, and now they're sending me text messages and DMs, and like, there's this one kid, he knocked on my door at my house here in Long Beach. And
I like him already.
fast forward, well, he was selling like a pest control thing door to door for like spiders and ants or whatever. It was a service, and he was crushed. He was a hustler, I could tell. I invited him in my house. We started talking. My wife comes home. She's like, "Who's this kid in our house?" And it was like, "He's a good kid." I literally handed him that book. He loved it. Told all of his friends. He just passed his real estate exam last month. Him and all of his buddies are launching their own little brokerage in Arizona. I've been mentoring him since he left my house for free.
So imagine that ripple effect if it was the opposite, where like you know, just because he just didn't do anything for him,
Mm-hmm.
and like how his life would have been maybe different. And I don't know if
I remember when I was starving and I just wanted knowledge. I didn't want anybody to do the work for me.
yeah.
Just give me a couple gems that I can run with.
It just gives me chills thinking about like how powerful we can be if we choose to, and the impact that we can if we decide to.
Being of service.
Yeah, and taking that responsibility is so serious that you take it like I'm not on my watch. Is somebody going to come across my path and I can help and I don't help? That is shitty. That is terrible. That is not how you show up. That's not what we do. So that story, and to anyone listening, think about how many people come across your path in the course of a day and where they might be at in their life, and how you just being nice and kind to them could be that absolute perfect thing that they just needed to take that next step to maybe live another day, to take another phone call, to make someone else in their life, because we're all, we're all kids of, I'm a son to my mom, and my dad, and like those people that we come across, they have people that love them too, and sometimes just a complete stranger just caring enough about them can give people the courage to take that next step and just show them the way.
I agree, man. Mic drop, and I completely agree with you. And that's why I love what I do.
And there's my mom calling.
It's
right
fun.
now.
Yeah, there she is.
There's my mom calling.
I love it. Nothing happens by accident. So, where can everybody find you? Where can they find your website? Where can they find you on Facebook and Instagram? And
So, David at the GOODWIN Network, and we have the Facebook channel, and then we're getting ready to go on YouTube and get the podcast, which we will be talking about. I need to get the name and all that stuff dialed, so I'm looking forward to working with you on that.
nice. And go follow Dave. He's awesome. He's a great guy, super good dad, super good husband, and loves what he does. And we're going to tag all of his stuff in these show notes. What I would ask is, this is a free podcast, and we love to bring you guys value. It would mean the world to me if you would head over to iTunes, leave us a rating and a review, and just let us know how we can do better. I want to bring as much value to you as humanly possible, and the only way we know is by leaving us ratings and reviews on iTunes. Plus, it dramatically helps the podcast reach more people. So, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Goodwin.
Thank you, Andy.
And you'll be seeing a lot more of Dave. We're filming, we're doing a bunch of content, so stay tuned. He's a really tall, good-looking guy in a suit. You'll see him.
Take care, guys.
We'll see you guys.